Pregame.com.
Mountain West Conference action Thursday night. It's here in Vegas at the Thomas & Mack. It's Wyoming and UNLV. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined by Scott Spreitzer. Scott, it's tournament time. I love conference tournament week. And you got situations where, you know, teams are going to be playing back-to-back nights. If they win, they hope to be playing back-to-back nights. And you've got teams facing in some of these conferences for the third time, most always at least for the second time. And in this game, these two met the last time they played. Mm-hmm. They played last Saturday night at the Thomas & Mack. It was senior night. I was there. This is going to be my video best bet this week. So I'm going to throw it to you first, and then I'll come back and pound home why I think my side's the right side.
I didn't go to the Saturday matchup, but I'll be in this matchup on Thursday. But, you know, first of all, I got to say, did you see the motivational speaker at practice yesterday?
I did not.
You didn't see who it was?
No.
Oh, Mike Tyson of all people.
Oh,
that scares me. What's he telling these guys? I mean, Mike Tyson is your motivational speaker, and David Rice, God bless him, he looked like he was actually interested in what he was saying, but I don't know. But anyway, here we go. Let's get back to the game. The Rebels 17-0 straight up at home at Thomas & Mack, and everybody knows that they struggle away from home where they're 8-7 in 15 games away from home. And we saw them struggle at Laramie a little bit. They were in the game. They could have won the game. They lost 68-66. This past weekend, it was a much closer game than the final margin would indicate. It was a 74-63 final, and I believe it was a 3-point game midway through the second half. But what we saw a little bit of at the Thomas & Mack, and we see it from time to time, is thankfully at the Thomas & Mack, not what we see from the Rebels on the road. And to me, it seems like maybe the inexperience of David Rice as a head coach really kind of rears its ugly head away from the Thomas & Mack. And what you see a lot of times is UNLV going through long periods of time on the road where they get real hurried. I mean, they really rush everything they're doing on the offensive end. They could have a big lead, everything's working right, and all of a sudden they're throwing one pass and taking a shot early in the shot clock. They're taking that running Rebels, you know, nickname and just kind of adding steroids to it, and what's happening right now is the kids are losing focus. We haven't seen David Rice be able to stop, time out, bring everybody, reel them in, and get them to go back out there and play with more patience, and it's cost them away from home.
Oh, that's actually been their ad campaign, you know, ready to run.
Exactly.
You know? So, I mean, you know, they're ready. I agree with everything you're saying, and I'm going to be on UNLV in this game. And the reason I'm going to do it, I'm a situational guy, and even though that was senior night, so it's a you know, big you know, pumped up crowd, and they had a, you know, great ceremony before the game and everything. UNLV, what I saw in that game on Saturday, one, they were sloppy.
Sure.
Two, they looked a little flat to me coming out, and I expected that on Saturday because they lost a game midweek. I think it was on Wednesday night of that week, that they should never have lost. Mm-hmm. They had a huge lead at Colorado State. They were in a three-way tie for the Mountain West Conference championship, you know, for the crown, and losing that game at Colorado State with that pitiful second half, I think just took all the wind out of their sails because they weren't going to win the Mountain West this year with that loss. And so they came out flat, sloppy, and the other thing, I never saw a game where the referees were just blowing the whistles the way they were. Yeah. And when I looked at Wyoming and they were getting the calls, I thought I was watching the Detroit Pistons and Bill Laimbeer doing the flops because, I mean, they were just, I haven't seen a college basketball game where I saw so many charges called. And he's, you know, I mean, they just get in touch and the guy's flopping. So I think it's, you know, the second season. I think it'd be a big thing for Coach Rice to, you know, if he could pull off and win this, you know, this tournament his first year and finish the season. You know, this is not technically a home game, but let's come on. We're playing at the MAC. They are 17-0. I think the Rebels come out fired up, more focused than they were on Saturday. And even as that game went Saturday, they had stretches where they kicked it out to 12, 14 points, and then, like you said, they go down the floor, have a bad possession, or try a fast break and throw it into the, you know, the second row, you know, and just not play, you know, you can play up-tempo, but play it controlled.
Exactly.
Do it when you've got the numbers and not just try to make it happen. I think UNLV wins this game going away, and I think we're getting a soft number because A, it's not technically their home floor, and B, because they just played the team on Saturday and it went down to that last possession as far as the spread went. I've got UNLV winning by 14 or more. I'm going to make it the video best bet. Close it out for me, and then I'll wrap it up and do some business that we got to do with coupons.
Well, I was going to say, they're 19-3 all time at the Thomas and Mack against Wyoming. And if you look at what this team has done, they are 4-2, the Rebels, against the spread, laying more than 9 points in Mountain West Conference action the last 6 times. So they've done all right. You're a 67% winner when they're laying those kind of point spreads in conference play. They have to get over the fact that Wyoming does play a great defensive style of basketball. They're one of the best defensive basketball teams in college basketball this year. In fact, they hold teams to about 40% shooting and about 55 points per game. But I like what you said, because they were very flat, UNLV, going into that game, yet they still were able to force 18 turnovers from a Wyoming team that I think turned it over once against TCU in the previous game. So we saw UNLV getting it done on the defensive end and eventually wore Wyoming out. And the officials couldn't save them. I'm not a fan of Mountain West Conference officials. If you remember the old PCAA that UNLV played in before they dropped that name and changed it to something else, man, we used to call it penalties called all afternoon. That was what it stood for, PCAA. And basically we saw some crazy calls that were really not allowing this team to get into any kind of flow. And any team that plays more of an up-tempo style would have never gotten to a flow against Wyoming the other night because of the way the officiating was going. But they still managed to win by 11. The one caveat, I like to throw those into the mix all the time, is that was Wyoming's biggest loss of the season, 11-point margin in tournament play. So you're going to have to beat them again by a differential or margin that Wyoming's not used to losing by. But I think you're right. You're going to see a refocused and a redetermined, for lack of a better term, UNLV team coming into this game after what happened in the last couple of games of the regular season. And I think this team is hell-bent on turning things around, starting in this game on Thursday night after hearing about how bad they are on the road. I know this ain't a road game. Those are going to come up in the tournament when they're playing on neutral sites. But I think this team's got a little chip on their shoulder going into this particular game.
Right. And they're 17-0 at the Thomas and Mack, and they're undefeated in Vegas because they beat North Carolina at the Orleans. So we're going to go ahead and go with UNLV. It's my video best bet. Every week when I have my video best bet, we give you guys a $10 coupon. Well, we're taking the UNLV Rebels, so we're going to make the coupon Rebels10, all one word, Rebels, and the number 10. You're going to get $10 off. Just enter it at the coupon code at checkout. You can use it on anything. And if the package is only $10, which doesn't happen too often, it's on RJ. But
nice.
You can do that. So check it out. We're going to be right back. We're going to be looking at Big 12 action next. We've got Baylor and Kansas State in Big 12 action. And then we'll move to Friday and take a look at an NBA game. We'll be right back.